Hi, everybody. My name is Dennis Brown. I want to welcome you to my weekly Freight Broker Bootcamp to Live. Today, I'm going to share with you 10 very important cold calling stats that every freight broker needs to know for 2022. Some of these are probably going to surprise you. Okay, so that's what we're going to cover today. But here's the agenda. First, we're going to do, for those of you that joined me early, we're going to do a free giveaway, right? We're probably going to give away a shirt or two, depending on time. Then we're going to jump into the training. I'm going to share those 10 stats with you. Then we're going to do live Q&A at the end. So that's the agenda. That's what we're going to do. All right. So I want to get to the giveaways. And so I'm just going to wait for a few people to get live. And then we're going to give away a free t-shirt, Freightpreneur, someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand. This is a very popular shirt. I do not sell this shirt, so don't ask me where you can buy it. I don't sell it. I just give them away. I've given away hundreds over the last couple of years, and I'm going to give away at least one today. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. All you'll have to do is just follow some very, very basic information. So if you are joining me, whether you're on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube or wherever you're watching this stream, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you that are my replay folks, hit me up with #replay. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. I know you couldn't make it live today, but I truly appreciate you joining me on the replay. For everybody else that is live, we got a bunch of people that are joining us. And again, today, I'm going to share with you, I compiled, there's millions, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of different statistics out there about sales and cold calling. These are the 10 that I think you really need to understand, right? These are the 10 sales stats that every freight broker needs to know for 2022. If you understand these stats, if you understand these trends, if you understand this data, it can definitely 100% help you to improve your conversions, get more sales, and grow your business in 2022 and beyond, okay? So that's where we're at. We got a bunch of people joining us live. All right, cool. Let's do the first giveaway, all right? So here's all you got to do. I'm going to make this super, super, super simple, okay? All I want you to do is this. If you want a chance to win the Freightpreneur t-shirt, okay, I'm going to give one of these away. You have to be in the United States because I don't ship these overseas, okay? If you want a chance to win the Freightpreneur t-shirt, here's all you got to do. Pull out your mobile phone, pull out your cell phone, okay? And on your cell phone, if you're on Apple or Android or whatever, pull up your favorite podcast app. If you're on Apple, it's the Apple Podcast app. If you're on Android, it might be Google Podcast, it might be Spotify, it might be one of the other platforms that streams audio, right? Allows you to listen to audio content. And what I want you to do is I want you to go in very quickly and search for Freight Broker Bootcamp. Freight Broker Bootcamp, if you search for that, what you're going to see is my bald, shiny head and the logo, right? You'll see something like that. There's the logo. There's my bald, shining head. And then what I want you to do is I want you to subscribe. Sometimes they call it follow, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast wherever you're listening, right? Wherever you listen to the podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google. I don't care what podcast app you use. Chances are we're distributing our content on those apps. So go there right now, subscribe, rate, and review, and then come back into the comments and let me know that I subscribed, rated, and reviewed. And then you got to tell me the platform. You did it on Spotify. You did it on Google. You did it on Apple, wherever you did it. Subscribed, rated, reviewed. Now, what I don't want you to do is come back in here and say done or subscribed or I did it. What you have to do is you have to say subscribed, rated, reviewed, Apple. Subscribed, rated, reviewed, Spotify. Because in order for me to pick a winner, I've got to scroll down through all these randomly, find one, pick it, and then identify a winner very quickly. So you got to follow instructions. It's very, very simple. All you got to do for a chance to win, pull out your mobile phone. It's probably sitting in your pocket or on your desk right now if I know you. And then just pull up a podcast app. The podcast is absolutely free. It's 100% free. And it has the best of the best audio training that I've ever done in the last decade, including videos, webinars, coaching calls, all kinds of different content there, Q&As, and I compile all that content there and I give it away absolutely free. Now, while you guys are doing this, I just want to let you know, we've been ranked, the Freight Broker Bootcamp Audio Experience podcast has been ranked in the top 100 out of all entrepreneur podcasts on Apple. There are tens of thousands of entrepreneur podcasts on Apple, I promise you. Okay. And we've been ranked in the top 100. And that's mainly because of you guys, right? Because of the number of downloads and subscribes and reviews that we've gotten. So I want to thank everybody who's already participated in these giveaways and is already listening to the podcast. And if you're listening or if you're just brand new, check it out. All you got to do is pull up your mobile phone, search the podcast app of your choice for Freight Broker Bootcamp, and you will see it. Just subscribe, rate, and review. Come back in here, let me know, and I will, that'll include you as a part of this giveaway. And I'm giving away a Freightpreneur t-shirt. Again, someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand, all right? Now we're going to try to do another giveaway if we have time. Okay, so we got a bunch of people. Let me make sure you guys let me know the platforms that you're subscribed on. That would be great. And all right, so we got a bunch of people. So this is an honor system, guys. There's no way I can check to verify this during the giveaway. But after the giveaway, if I have any question in my mind whether you actually subscribed, rated, and reviewed, you would have to provide that proof. Okay. So just make sure it's an honor system. Just make sure you're doing it. All right. I'm giving away a t-shirt. Sometimes I give away cash. I do this all the time. If you don't have time right now to do it, that's cool. Maybe next week. But please do me a huge favor. Subscribe, rate, and review. Let me know, and you'll get a chance to win. All right. So where are we at on time here? Okay. So we may only have time to do one. Maybe we'll have two. Okay. So what do we got here? How many we got? All right. We got a bunch of people. So I'm going to give away the first t-shirt. All right. So here we go. I have a very non-scientific way of doing this. I close my eyes. I scroll through the comments where all the subscribes are. I stop my mouse. I land on one, and I didn't land on one. Sorry about that. All right, let me try it again. And the winner is Tanner Cruzel. Tanner Cruzel, subscribed, rated, and reviewed on Spotify. Awesome. Tanner, you're amazing. Everybody who played along, thank you so much. Tanner, to receive your shirt, you got to listen very carefully, okay? Go to my Freight Broker Bootcamp Facebook page, like the page, and then you have to message me your full name, address, and your size, okay? So this is I don't know, I usually wear like a medium or a large. They're unisex sizing. They're pretty true to size. So you have to send me your full name, your address, and your size, and you have to let me know that you won the podcast subscribe t-shirt giveaway, okay? The podcast subscribe t-shirt giveaway, and I will make sure that shirt goes out. You usually get it within a week or two, depending upon, shipping and whatever, but usually you'll get it within a couple of weeks. Thank you, everybody, for playing along on that. So here's what I'm going to do. I think we can do another quick giveaway. Yeah, I think we have time to do a super quick giveaway. Here's what you got to do. Listen in. Tanner, congratulations on winning the first shirt. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give away $50 cash. $50 cash right now. Here's all you got to do. But you got to act quick, okay? You got to act very quickly. Hold on a minute. But where is it? Shoot. Come on. All right, here you go. Here's all you got to do. Subscribe to the Freight Broker Bootcamp YouTube channel. Subscribe and click the all notifications bell, right? Subscribe and click the all notifications bell, and then come back in to the comments and let me know you subscribed on YouTube and you click the all notifications bell. If you do that, come back into the comments and I will enter you in a contest to win $50. $50 cash. I'll PayPal it to you in the next 24 to 48 hours. Okay. I'm going to pick one winner and I'm going to give away $50 cash. So all you got to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you don't know where it is, if you're on YouTube, just search Freight Broker Bootcamp. You'll see my bald head. You'll see the channel, blah, blah, blah. Or you can just go to youtube.com/Freight Brokers. That's my longstanding channel. We've got over 40,000 subscribers. I think we get over 1 million. I think it's close to 1 million downloads, 1 million views per year now on the channel. So people are really enjoying the channel. So all you got to do is subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the all notifications bell, and then you've got to come back in to the comments and let me know. Subscribed on YouTube, click the all notifications bell, and I will select one winner to win $50. Okay. All right. So that's all you got to do. Let me know if you subscribed and you click the all notifications bell, and you have to put it in the comments. And I'm going to pick one winner. And then after this giveaway, we've still got 5 minutes before noon. After this giveaway, I'm going to jump into the training. We're going to talk about the 10 very important cold calling sales statistics that every freight broker needs to know for 2022. Some of them may surprise you. Okay. I was a little surprised. And then we're going to do live Q&A for everybody that sticks around to the end. All right. So stick around to the end. You can do live Q&A. You can ask me questions about these sales stats. You can ask me questions about freight broker sales. You can ask me questions about startup, becoming a freight broker, becoming a freight agent, AB5, the new AB5 legislation, whatever you want to talk about, right? We can talk about that in the Q&A. All right. So what do we got? All right. We got a bunch of people subscribing on YouTube. All right, cool. Let's give it one more minute. Let's give it one more minute to do the giveaway for people to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, I put out new content on YouTube every single week. So all this is going to do is make sure that you get notified every time a new free freight broker training video comes out. I have I think it's 130 plus free freight broker training videos on that channel. So if you're not subscribed to the channel and you're curious or even serious about becoming a freight broker, you're a fool if you're not subscribed. I mean, it's absolutely free. Okay. So make sure you subscribe and then hit the all notifications bell, come back in here. And hopefully you are the winner of the $50 giveaway. I haven't given away cash in a little while. I normally give away more cash, but I've been giving away the shirts. Obviously the cash, these shirts don't cost $50. But I find that people, believe it or not, some people like the shirt better than they do the $50. These shirts have become incredibly popular. I don't know why I'm not selling them. I probably should. I just don't have the time. I just don't have the time to do it. But I'm not in the t-shirt business. That's not my gig. Okay. All right. So here we go. We're going to do the giveaway for the YouTube subscribe contest for $50. Here you go. I'm going to scroll down through. I'm going to close my eyes. And I'm going to randomly pick one winner. And the winner is Joseph DeLeon. Joseph DeLeon subscribed and clicked the all notifications bell on YouTube. Congratulations, Joseph. You are the winner of the $50 giveaway. All you got to do, go to the Freight Broker Bootcamp Facebook page, like the page, message me through that page with your full name, your PayPal email, because I can only pay this via PayPal. So if you don't have a PayPal account, set a PayPal account up. It's going to give you $50. All right. So most people have PayPal accounts. I will PayPal you the $50 in the next 24 to 48 hours. All you got to do is make sure you send me your full name, your PayPal email, and that you won the $50 giveaway for the YouTube subscribe contest. Okay. So make sure you include that because I need to know what you won and why you won it. Right. Otherwise you won't get the money. So make sure full name, PayPal email, and that you won the YouTube subscribe $50 giveaway. And I will make sure that you get that $50 in the next 24 to 48 hours via PayPal. So thank you so much for everybody who played along. There's no losers in this game because if you subscribe to the podcast, I promise you're going to get enormous value. If you subscribe to YouTube, I promise you're going to definitely learn something. Spend 15 minutes on the channel, and I promise you're going to learn something that can help you grow your business. And everybody who played along, thank you so much. Come if you want a chance to win. I do these every single week. Just let me know. Just come in every Monday and play along with these different contests that I do. Absorb the training, ask some questions in the Q&A, and who knows where it can go from there. So thank you so much for everybody who's playing along. Let me just check the time. All right, cool. We're really on time. I'm on my game today, right? It's 11:59. I got 2 giveaways done. I've got some great content for you guys. And now we're going to wait for a bunch of people to come live because the trainings really don't start until noon. Okay. But I do these giveaways a little early just to have a little bit of fun and obviously promote some of the things that I'm looking to build and some of the different channels that are really helping students and just people all over the world. I mean, it's crazy how many people not in the United States watch my YouTube channel and my podcast. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. And it's from some of the craziest places you'd never think of. But no matter where you're from, I appreciate you being here live or on replay. So here we are. Let's do this to kick it off. I'm from the Buffalo, New York area. My name is Dennis Brown. Been an entrepreneur for over 25 years. Built 4, multi-million-dollar companies in my career. One of those businesses was a freight brokerage that I did over $200 million a year. This is for people that don't know me, okay? I'm in the Buffalo, New York area, Clarence to be exact. What I want to know from you in the comments is let me know the city and state that you are logging in from. And after you put the city and state in, I want you to click the share button and share this on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn or wherever you're at. I want you to share the stream, right? That's the price of admission. There's no cost. I didn't ask you for a credit card. There's no pitch. You don't have to buy anything, right? So that's the price of admission. So I want you to let me know the city and state you're logging in from. I'll try to give you some shout outs and then click the share button and let everybody know where you're at. Like and share the feed wherever you're listening. Let me give you some shout outs real quick. Tej Sethi from London, UK. Welcome, Tej. Next links from New York. Eric Val from Santa Clarita, California. Norma Garza from Edinburgh, Texas. Samuel Markin, congratulations. Cindy Kane from Houston, Texas. Tatiana Lozano from Palmdale, California. Haven't heard from you in a little while, Tatiana. How are you? Nardell from Arcadia, Wisconsin. Samuel Markin from Indianapolis, Indiana. Charles MBA from Atlanta, Georgia. Cassandra from Twin Falls, Idaho. Ashala Smith from Columbus? Columbus, Ohio. Courtney Crawford from Carrollton, Texas. Welcome. Welcome, Kiera from Athens, Georgia. Welcome, Irina Valentina from Dallas, Texas. Sandra from Pensacola, Florida. Welcome, Faith Crawford from Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Welcome, Sugar from Pennsylvania. Welcome, Bill from LA. Kevin from Indiana. Diane Liz Rodriguez. I'm sorry if I murdered your name, from Palm Beach, Florida. Sorry about that. John Keith from Philadelphia. Trucking Simple from Grand Canyon State, Arizona. All right, awesome. From Arizona. Carline from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We got a lot of people from Florida. We got a lot of people from Atlanta. We got a lot of people from Texas. All right, thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate you being here. Make sure you like and share the stream. That's the price of admission today. If you want me to come back every week and do these free trainings, that's what you got to do. That's the price of admission. So like and then share the stream. Now, here's the agenda. We're going to be going over the training, which is 10 cold calling statistics that every freight broker needs to know in 2022. And then if you stick around to the end, I'm going to do live Q&A. You can ask me questions about anything. Now, I may or may not have the answers for you. If I have the answers, I'll share. If I don't, I'll try to point you in the right direction, okay? The fact is, I don't know everything, all right? But I have been an entrepreneur for over 25 years, been very, very fortunate. And I've trained over 10,000 freight broker and freight agent students in the last decade. Many of them have went on to earn 6 and 7 figures. I even have students that are now doing 8 figures in sales, over $1 million a month in sales, that graduated from Freight Broker Bootcamp and my different training programs. So if you're curious about becoming a freight broker and you're trying to put all that information together, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. All right, let me grab a quick drink. Then we're going to start the live. I'm sure you guys are ready for me to stop rambling. All right, let me get this off the screen. Let me get that off the screen. All right, so quick drink. We're going to dive in. All right, so today I'm going to share with you 10 cold calling statistics that every freight broker needs to know in 2022. Now, the reason why I'm sharing these statistics with you is, number one, I think you may be surprised, right? I think this may go against your common sense or even intuitive nature, is that some of these are going to surprise you. Number two, by understanding these statistics and these trends, it's going to help improve your overall sales conversion and performance. That's the reason why I'm sharing this, right? So I'm going to share with you 10 statistics. I'm going to talk about some of them. Others are ones you just have to contemplate and understand, all right? These are in no discernible order, but I do want to share them quickly. And then at the end, we're going to do live Q&A, all right? So number one, this may surprise you. 82% of buyers accept meetings with sellers who proactively reach out via cold call. I know, crazy, right? This is a statistic from Rain Group. They're a very credible group, all right? They gather this data at a large data set, and this is, I truly believe this is accurate data. 82% of buyers accept meetings with sellers who proactively reach out via cold call, all right? That's the number one stat. So what I want you to understand and learn from that is that cold calling is not dead, but you have to evolve. You have to take a different approach, right? So the same smile and dial, one size fits all cold call is probably not going to work. That's the reason why I put together my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program, which is where I take that piece of my brain, everything about freight broker sales, and I teach a whole bunch of students on how to do that. Now that program is sold out, but I'll be reopening it relatively soon. If you guys want a chance to, get on the wait list for that, let me pull up the link really quick because I think you guys will. All right, here's what you do. Go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. That is a training program. It's an advanced freight broker sales training program, right? So to get on the wait list, it sells out every single time. You get on the wait list, it doesn't cost you anything. When I open up enrollment, you'll be the first to get notified, okay? So just understand that invitation is open to you to get on the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator wait list. We've had amazing feedback. We've had over a couple hundred people, I think, have completed the exit survey now after the course, and we've asked them what they thought about the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, asked them 1 to 10, their rating, and the average rating is like a 9.1 or 9.2. It's crazy, right? So I would have been happy with like a 7 or 8, but it ended up being over a 9. So it's an amazing course. So here, let's jump into the next one, right? The second statistic that I think may surprise you, 49% of buyers prefer to be contacted through the phone. Almost 50% of buyers that are buying in the B2B environment, right? So your business to business sales, because that's what this is, right? 49% of buyers prefer to be contacted via phone. That's also from the Rain Group. Very credible source. So keep that in mind. When you have this aversion to sales and picking up the phone and cold calling, right? You got to understand, buyers, about half of the buyers out there prefer to be contacted by phone. Some of them want to be contacted by email. Some of them want to be contacted face-to-face. Some of them want to be contacted by social media or other environments. Some of them don't want to be contacted at all. But the fact is 49% prefer to be contacted via phone. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, successful cold calls last 2 times longer than unsuccessful ones. Now, the stats that they're providing here, this is from Gong.io, which is a software that monitors and records sales calls for training purposes. So they've got a lot of data on this, okay? The average successful sales call, or the average unsuccessful sales call, is 3 minutes, 14 seconds, which I think is actually long. But the average successful sales call is 5 minutes, 50 seconds, almost twice as long, okay? And what does that tell you? What does that tell you? That tells you that the salesperson is having a quality conversation. Not all sales conversations are equal. And what I mean by that is if you get on the phone with somebody and you spend 1 minute vomiting all over them or 2 minutes vomiting all over them your spiel, and then they just give you the Heisman and tell you no, and the call ends in a minute or 2, that's not a quality engagement. Now, it's a filtering process and it's something you have to do, but you have to build your sales script and your sales process to be engaging. That's a big reason why I put together the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, why you can get on the wait list, is because you have to have a compelling and interesting sales hook that starts a 2-way dialogue, right? It's all about having a dialogue. It's not about you vomiting all over your prospect and trying to pitch him on the first phone call, because that's really what it's not about. So that was the third stat. Successful cold calls last 2 times longer than unsuccessful cold call or sales calls, right? All right. Number 4, successful cold calls with, hold on. I'm sorry. Let me step back. Successful cold calls include 65% more we statements. So rather than saying you and I, 65% of successful sales calls use the term we. So they're referring to the prospect and themselves as we, or we as a company, or we as in you and I, but they don't use the terms you and I, they use the terms we more often, which I thought was really interesting. Now, this may seem very subtle. That may seem very subtle to you, but if you can start integrating that term into your conversations, statistically speaking, it's going to help increase your conversions over time. All right. So that was number 4. Number 5, opening your cold call with "how have you been" has a higher success rate for booking a meeting. Now, I have mixed feelings about this, but it's still a statistic. But what they're saying is opening your cold call with "how have you been" has a higher success rate for booking a meeting. And as I break that down in my mind, I think the reason why is because it creates a dialogue. It creates a conversation. Most salespeople, again, talk too much, don't listen enough, and don't ask interesting and compelling questions. And most salespeople make it all about them and not the prospect. This question that they're starting off with is "how have you been?" is engaging. It starts a dialogue and it's asking about them. So I'm not surprised at the statistic. It's not my favorite way to start a phone call, but something that you might want to test and see what type of results you get in your cold outreach. All right. So that's number 5. Number 6, the most successful sales prospecting calls average 14.3 minutes in length. And this is from revenue.io. Again, a very credible source. So the most successful sales prospecting calls average 14.3 minutes. And what I want you to extract from this and extrapolate from that is that quality over quantity. I'd rather have you have 3 quality conversations that last 14 minutes on average, right, in a day, versus having 20 conversations that last 1 or 2 minutes. I'm just telling you the truth. Those are the facts. Those 3 that last 10 or 15 minutes long, where the prospect is highly engaged and you're having a really quality conversation, are statistically going to close at a much higher rate than the shorter calls. So I want you to understand, you have to create those types of dialogues, those types of conversations. If you're finding your conversations are all less than a minute or 2, you need to work on your sales hook. You need to work on your approach. You need to work on the entire sales process, because there's a breakdown there, right? It's going to be very hard for you to generate any real interest or get any real shippers or convert and get any real sales on having these short 1 and 2 minute conversations. So you need to figure out a way to extend those conversations, right? Number 7, mentioning a common connection during a cold call can increase the likelihood of attaining a meeting by 70% or more. Now, this is a statistic from LinkedIn. So if you're doing outreach to a prospect and you can mention a common connection, someone that they know that you also know, can significantly increase the likelihood of scheduling a follow-up meeting, of getting a meeting, okay? So it increases it by 70%. So these are cold calls, right? So we're talking about cold calls. So I want you to understand, if you do a little bit of research in advance and you find out some common connections that you have, and you're able to ascertain that they know that person and that's a real connection, then it could literally change the game when it comes to your sales outreach. All right. So that's number 7. Number 8, 78% of sales representatives who use social media report that researching prospects on social networks helps them perform better on their job. Now, we just talked about LinkedIn. We just talked about doing a little bit of research. I'm a huge believer in gathering sales intelligence before I make a sales call, whether you're using Google, whether you're using the company's website, whether you're using a site like LinkedIn, whatever you're using, okay? But LinkedIn is one of my favorite sources for gathering sales intelligence and doing research before the call. So I want you to understand, I totally agree with this stat. I think sales intelligence is important. And I think that if you can share an in-common connection, like we talked about in the last statistic, it can be extremely powerful to building rapport and getting the next call. Okay. All right. Number 9, asking. Oh, lean in on this one, because this is one that I love. Okay. Because I've been saying this for the longest time and nobody wants to listen to me. Asking, is now a bad time on a cold call, makes you 40% less likely to book a meeting. How many of you are using that in your sales calls? Is now a bad time? Is now a bad time? Stop using those words. Is now a bad time? Those 5 words, don't use that phrase. Get that out of your prospecting call. Get that out of your cold call, right? Because statistically speaking, and I agree with this, it will decrease your likelihood of getting a follow-up call by 40%. So get that out of your language, all right? Number 10. Here's another one you might want to lean in on, and some of you are probably guilty of this, right? I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, but some of you are probably guilty. 44% of salespeople do not follow up with a prospect after getting 1 rejection. Are you kidding me right now? You get 1 rejection from a prospect and you're not going to follow up? 44% of salespeople do not follow up after getting 1 rejection. Are you crazy? That's not the end. That's the beginning. That's the beginning of the sales process. You can't just give up after getting 1 objection or getting some rejection. It doesn't work that way. You all have heard the saying before, the fortune's in the follow-up. Now, if someone tells you, no, they don't want to do business with you today, that's rejection. You're definitely not going to want to call tomorrow. But you are definitely going to want to get permission to try to follow up with them later, or you're going to want to schedule them for later, maybe 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 weeks down the road, where you can schedule a follow-up. And by then, you're going to come up with a different sales hook to approach them. And who knows what can happen at that point, right? So you can't give up on a prospect after just getting a little bit of rejection, okay? So those are the top 10, but I'm going to give you a bonus. I'm going to give you a bonus, all right? So I want you to listen to this bonus. I put a bonus in here because, I was only going to do 10, and then I saw this one, and I just thought it was great. 87% of prospects say salespeople do not understand their needs. Now, in my opinion, this is probably the number 1 reason why salespeople fail, because they don't understand their buyer. They don't take time to put together a perfect prospect profile. They don't understand their pain points. They don't understand what drives their business and their industry. They don't understand industry insights that are compelling. They're not paying attention to the news. They're not gathering sales intelligence. They're not educated about the prospects. Here's the thing. If you don't understand your customer, you are doomed to fail. And customers are telling us that. 87% of prospects say salespeople do not understand their needs. Salespeople understand the product they're selling, but they don't understand their prospects' needs. So that's the bonus, all right? So here's what I'm going to suggest. Take those 10 statistics, relate it back to yourself, extrapolate something, and try to put it to work today. But in the meantime, here's what I want you to do. Get on the wait list for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. That's right. That's the Freight Broker Sales Training Program. That's my advanced training program where I take that piece of my brain and I teach you everything about freight broker sales, everything that allowed me to do over $200 million as a freight broker, everything that allowed me to do business with thousands and thousands of customers in all kinds of different niches all over the United States, Canada, North America, and abroad. And all you got to do is get on the wait list. It's absolutely free at freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. That's how you get on the wait list. Again, it's absolutely free. Now, for those of you that are just getting started and need some help navigating the early startup and getting your business up and running, and just need somebody in your corner to help you, right, with a step-by-step process, and you want to check that out, just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. We've trained over 10,000 students, been in business over a decade, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee for anybody who's interested in becoming a freight broker or freight agent, and you can do it as fast as 30 days. I've had students in 30 days that are brokering freight, and I'm here to help, all right? So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, those are 10 stats. We're going to jump into some Q&A, but I'm a little dry. I had a really sore throat the other night. I don't know why, but it was killing me. So I'm going to grab a drink, and then we are going to navigate past the training, and we are going to jump into some Q&A. So if you guys have questions, here, listen to me first. If you have a question, what I want you to do before you submit the question is I want you to share the stream. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on LinkedIn, before you ask your question, I want you to click the share button and share the stream. That's the price of asking your question. I'm not going to ask you for money. I'm not going to ask you for your credit card, but I am going to ask you to like and share the stream, right? I've already told you that once, but for those of you that have joined me late, I want you to like and then share the stream. Then you can ask a question in the chat box. I will gladly try to answer your question. I don't care where you share it. Facebook, Instagram, send an email to 3 people, whatever, right? LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you want to share it. But I want to make sure you like and then share it wherever you're listening. And I will gladly try to answer your question. Now, for those of you that have already asked questions, I want to make sure that you go back and do that because you probably asked questions before I suggested that. But I am going to answer some questions here, okay? So hit me up with questions, but I want you to make sure that you like and then share the stream before. Sorry about the mic there. I just hit it. All right. I'm scrolling, looking for some questions. Good to see you too, Cody. Okay, so here's a question from a Facebook user. I don't know the name. With sales intelligence, what are some details to hone in on? Okay, so first of all, let me talk about sales intelligence for a minute. Sales intelligence, by my definition, is any data that you can gather prior to a call that will enhance the opportunity for you to make a good first impression and to convert the sale. That's what sales intelligence is. Now, there are 3 primary sources I suggest you go to. 1, go to the customer's website. That has great sales intelligence. It includes information about their history. It includes information about the leadership of the company. It has information about their products. It has press releases and news releases and media, right? A lot of great information on their website, right? And then another great one is obviously Google, right? Google knows everything. So go to Google, search for the company, search for the information on the specific industry, right? Things that are trending, things that are, that are relevant now, right? Not something that was posted 5 years ago, but something that was posted in the last day, week, month, year, something that's more relevant and timely, right? So Google's the second source. The third one is LinkedIn, and it probably should be number 1 because it's my favorite. LinkedIn is the world's largest professional networking site. There's tons of data there, not only on the companies and on their leadership and on their industry, but on the actual prospect themselves. So you can find the shipping manager or the traffic manager, or logistics manager on LinkedIn, and you can find out how long he's worked at the company. Where did he work before that? Where did he go to college? What city, state does he or she live in? What groups does he follow? What influencers does he follow? What kind of content is he posting, liking, or engaging with? This is all great sales intelligence, right? So the answer to your question is, I want you to focus on the things that are most timely and the most relevant. Not all sales intelligence is created equal, but if you gather a more robust amount of sales intelligence, it will draw a better picture for you and make you more prepared for that call, okay? And give you a better chance to make a good first impression and to enhance that call and enhance the sale. So I hope that answers your question. Next links asks, is a freight broker required to do drug and awareness training? No. No, freight brokers, there is no drug training, awareness training, none of that. You're not required to do any of that. That is for carriers and drivers. Okay? So carriers and drivers. Drivers are required to be tested and the owners and the carriers, the companies are required to test them regularly. Okay? So freight brokers are not tested or required to be tested, and they do not have anything to do with the testing of drivers. Okay? Okay, so here's a question from Great Business. With respect to freight, how does a broker determine the type of equipment that can or will be used to move a particular type of freight? For example, is a flatbed load or a van load? Okay. The number one way you determine what equipment to use for a load is to ask your shipper. I know that seems very basic, but they're going to say, I have a load of widgets going from point A to point B, right? It's going to pick up next week, or I need a rate on this lane. And you're going to say, okay, great. What type of equipment do you typically use for this type of movement? Oh, we just put it on a van. Great. You put it on a van. Are we able to put it on a reefer as long as we're not running the temperature control and we're just running it as a dry van? Because a reefer is really just a dry van with temperature control, right? It's just a big box truck, right? But there are certain things you can put on a van that you can't put on a reefer. When pallets need to be nailed down or need to be secured, it's harder on a reefer because you can't nail a pallet into a metal floor, right? It's going to make the reefer ineffective. So some of this, the best way to learn and understand it is to ask the shipper. The second best is just through experience and research, right? So when in doubt, ask. And if the shipper says, I really don't know, at that point, now you know that you need to dig deeper on exactly what type of freight it is. So for example, if they say, I'm moving what you're going to want to do, no matter what it is, if they don't understand the equipment that they typically use, you want to start asking a lot of questions. All right. Does it require temperature control? No. Does it require bracing? No. How is it going to be loaded onto the truck? Is it going to be loaded from a dock, or is it going to be side loaded with a forklift? Is it going to be loaded with a crane, right? There's a lot of different ways to load a truck, depending on the type of product. What are the dimensions? What is the weight? Is it perishable, right? So whenever they don't know, first ask. If they don't know the type of equipment, then you need to start asking a lot of questions. And then you need to let them know that, hey, based on the information you're giving me, this is what I would recommend. Does that make sense? Yes. Great. Get approval from them, and then you quote it and move it based on that. All right. So I hope that helps. Okay. So here's a question from Sam. Sam asks, if you get someone's email that's pretty interested, how often should you email them? And how often should you email them if they're not interested? Okay. Well, as you can imagine, if they're interested, you're going to follow up faster and more frequently than if they're not interested. I don't have an exact formula for you to say, oh, if they're interested, you do this day and this day and this day. That's not how it works, right? That doesn't exist. If they're not interested, you do, right? So that doesn't exist. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I want you to think of this in the macro, right? I want you to think of this at a high level as opposed to how many times, right? What you need to do for every follow-up is you have to have a compelling reason and a hook to follow up. So if someone's interested, it's a lot easier to create a hook, a sales hook, than it is if they're not interested, right? But So if someone's interested, say for example, you spoke with them 2 days ago and they said they're interested and you provided them some rates and now you emailed the rates to them and you're not hearing anything, right? This is a common situation. A couple of things went wrong. Number one, you didn't schedule a follow-up call. Number two, you may or may not have asked for a response. Number three, the rates could be bad or, whatever the case may be. But ultimately, if there is some interest, you're definitely going to want to follow up. So I know that the question is really revolving around, you don't want to make them mad, so you don't want to follow up too often. Here's the thing. If someone shows interest and asks you for rates, and they show that's really the most, that's about as good an interest as you can get on a cold call, is someone asking you for rates and giving you enough time to do that. You're definitely going to want to follow up, because here's what's going to happen. If you wait a week, it's definitely too long. So my suggestion is follow up frequently and more often, but softly and uniquely, right? Come up with an interesting sales hook rather than just saying, hey, can you reply to my email? Or, hey, can we jump on another call, right? Try to be unique. Try to be interesting. Try to be different, right? You hear me say this all the time. Different is better than better, right? If you sound a little different, whether that be verbally or in writing, you're more likely to get a response, okay? So if they are interested, you're going to follow up definitely a little bit more aggressive. If they're not interested, say you quoted them and they say, oh yeah, those rates are too high, we're not interested. I'm just giving an example. You're still going to want to follow up with them. My suggestion would be if they say they're not interested, I would probably follow up with them at least every 30 days until they are interested. But I'm going to come up with a compelling and unique sales hook to reintroduce myself and to talk about and to try to hook them. That's why it's called a sales hook. So if you have 5 or 6 different sales hooks that you use as a part of your sales process, right? And once again, this comes back to the whole Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, right? Which I'm going to put up on the thing here at some point once I find it. Sorry. All right. That's the link to get on the wait list. If you come up with a compelling sales hook, just because they said no to you 30 days ago doesn't mean that they're going to say no to you under the timing that they're in right now, and based upon the sales hook that you use to try to reel them in, right? I mean, that's why it's called the sales hook. So I hope that makes sense. I just did a little bit of a brain dump. I'm thinking through the process here because I wanted to give you 2 different scenarios, one if they were interested and one if they weren't. But I hope that helps. All right, so I'm scrolling through. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so here's a question from Ann Carell. Ann asks, when cold calling, who do I ask for? These are the titles that you're going to be looking for in most cases. Shipping manager, transportation manager, logistics manager, warehouse manager, right? So those are typically probably the most common 4. There are other titles, but those are the 4 that are probably the most common with most shippers. Shipping manager, traffic manager, transportation manager, logistics manager, warehouse manager. I think that's 5, right? So those would be the ones that you would ask for most often. Tatiana, factoring companies, there are a bunch. If you guys want a list of factoring companies for startup freight brokers, share the stream and then hit me up in the comments with send me the list of factoring companies, and I'll put a link in where you guys can get the factoring companies. Okay. So if you want the factoring companies, first share the stream, then come in the comments and say, send me the list of factoring companies, and I'll have one of my assistants follow up with you, give you a link where you can get the factoring companies. I will tell you, one of the ones that is the favorite of my students is Axle, right? Axle Financial, Axle Payments, Axle Factoring, right? AXLE. They become very popular. Revenel asks, instead of is now a good time, what would you use? I would use a sales hook, right? That is hyper relevant and contextual to the prospect, which takes me understanding who the buyer is, gathering some sales intelligence, and customizing that sales hook based upon the prospect, as opposed to trying to do a one size fits all. That's what I teach, right? That's what I teach as a part of the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. So that's what I recommend. Okay, so here's a question from EKG Logistics. How do you go about quoting a lane to a shipper? Here's what I want you to do. Rather than me trying to go through an entire training on how to quote freight, go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog. Let me pull that up. Go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog. And then in the search box, I want you to search for rates, RATES. And you will find a post that I did that teaches you a 3-step process for doing a rate quote as a freight broker. Now, this works for startups. This works for experienced brokers. It works for all of them, okay? But particularly for startups, right? It's going to give you a 3-part framework on how to generate freight quotes for your shippers. All right, so that would be what I would suggest. Good question. All right, give me a second here. Irina, would it be a problem to get customers if you have a heavy native accent in language? Well, they need to be able to understand you. So you do need to understand and be able to communicate in English if you're selling to the US market. But you don't need perfect English, I promise you. We've had tons of students we have some students that are doing millions of dollars a year as freight brokers and never even been to the United States, and English is their second language. Yogi Goswami, although his English is very good, we've had other students that have also had barriers and challenges with the English language because it's not their primary language. But we've had lots of students that have went on to overcome that. Now, you will need to speak English if you're going to sell into the English market. Better English will be easier. But here's what I'm going to tell you. If you use some of the strategies that I'm teaching you about gathering sales intelligence and creating a compelling sales hook, and you become a part of the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, you get on that wait list and you become part of that program when I open it back up in the future, the next 30 to 60 days, it's very doable, very, very doable, okay? Just because you can't speak perfect English doesn't mean you can't be a successful freight broker. Okay, so Ozan asks, as an agent or a broker, should you be worried about the driver problem in the market now? Drivers not stable and changing carriers often. What can we do to help carriers and create a nice relationship? Okay, first of all, driver turnover in the industry is notoriously and historically terrible. You're going to have there's always a lot of driver turnover. It's a challenge that asset-based trucking companies have and will continue to have, right? I mean, that problem has been around since before I was a broker, and I started in 2003. So that's nothing new. Now, as it relates to some of the challenges associated with AB5 and other legislation that's going on that's going to impact the trucking industry, I've already told everybody, this is an opportunity. Yes, it can be a challenge. Yes, it's horrible what's happening to those drivers, to the leased on drivers and everybody who's going to be affected by AB5. But as a freight broker, it's not going to change for you other than the fact that you need to understand more than ever the value of having strong carrier relationships. But with strong carrier relationships comes great opportunity. Perfect example. I interviewed Rico Brown recently in the last couple of weeks. Rico covers all of his freight. He made over $20,000 in profit in the last 30 days. And he covers all of his freight with about 15 or 20 different carriers that he has strong relationships with. He never posts his load. He never posts. He covers all his loads within 15 minutes, right? And all he's doing is sending an email out to his carriers, calling some of his regular carriers, and it's all the loads are covered. So that's ideally where you want to get. You don't want to post. You don't want to have to be forced to post every load to cover the freight, right? So relationships with carriers, that's where my suggestion would be. Secondly, the opportunity is if they're with the shortage of drivers in the market, if there's a growing shortage, it makes your freight broker service and your services more valuable than ever to shippers because it makes the shipper's job harder and more expensive. So as you can provide value and solutions to that problem, you get opportunities and you win, right? So that's all I want to, I hope that answers the question that you're looking for. Maddie Q asks, I ran into a customer that got angry because he was not able to get more credit. How do I get him back? Well, if the shipper has bad credit, first of all, listen to what's going on. If they have bad credit, what you're trying to tell me is, you couldn't give him more credit, so he got upset. So let's digest this real quick. Number one, when somebody has bad credit, be very careful doing business with them. Because as a broker, if you extend credit to a shipper for, let's say, $2,000, and then you move a load and you pay a carrier $1,800 and your profit is $200, and that shipper doesn't pay you, you still owe the carrier $1,800. So you're out $1,800 if that shipper doesn't pay you. So you do have to listen to credit. And this is risk management. So you may not want that person back. But if you've had a good experience where you gave them a small credit line and they did pay their bills on time and you want to continue to work with them, you've got to come up with some creative ways to do that. So maybe they can put it on a credit card and they can get some miles, some corporate reward miles that way. Maybe some companies do that. Maybe you can offer them a 1% net 10 discount where if they pay you in less than 10 days, you'll give them a 1% discount, give them some incentive to pay you quickly, right? Maybe you allow them to pay on delivery or prepay to extend the credit and to decrease the risk for you, but allow them to continue to do business with you. I'm not sure. I'm just brain dumping here some ideas. So I hope one of those helps. Sugar Plum, is there a rate cheat sheet for lanes? There is no cheat sheet because every lane is different. You got to understand the fundamentals of rates and pricing, economics 101. Pricing is determined by supply and demand. So if there is a high supply of freight and there's a if there's a lot of freight and there's not a lot of trucks, right? A lot of supply, right? A lot of supply of freight, but not a lot of trucks, rates are going to go up. And this changes day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, season to season. But if there's a lot of trucks and there's not a lot of freight, then those rates are going to go down. So supply and demand is what determines rates. So there is no way to put a cheat sheet out on rates based upon van rates or flatbed rates or a specific lane or a specific type of equipment. It takes some research, right? And takes some knowledge and understanding. That's part of the reason why I put the course together. It's part of the reason why I put that post together, that training about the different ways to do rates. So I hope that helps. Great Business Desk. What's the best way to vet a carrier? I don't know about best, but I'm going to give you a couple of things you should be doing. Number one, you need to validate their authority. You need to go to the FMCSA, go to SaferSys. You need to validate their authority. You need to make sure they have an active carrier authority, not based on anything they send you, but based upon the most active data, right? So you need to make sure they have an active carrier authority. Number two, you need to make sure they have active and valid insurance. So they have to have $1 million in liability. They have to have cargo, right? The cargo has to exceed the value, it has to be equal or exceed the value of your load. So if you have a $50,000 load, they better have at least $50,000 in cargo. If they have $250,000 load value, then they have to have $250,000 in cargo, okay? So you need to validate cargo, right? So, and then the third one is you're going to want to look at their safety history, right? So you're going to want to look at the safety history that's provided by the DOT and FMCSA on the carrier. They collect safety data, right? And that safety data is going to tell you whether they're, the status of their safety record and the history of their safety record. Now, I'm not going to give you an exact formula because unfortunately the FMCSA and the DOT don't give us a formula. They just give us the data, and then they want you as the broker to make the decision whether they're conditional or satisfactory or unrated. They don't really give you a whole lot of guidelines there, but you do want to look at the safety history. So those are three things on vetting a carrier, right? So check the authority, check their insurance, and check their safety history. Obviously, there are more steps that you can go through, but those are the minimum. And again, based on today's training, if you guys want to get on the wait list for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, you were here because we were talking about Freight Broker sales. I've had a lot of questions about Freight Broker sales. If you want to get on the wait list for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. It's free to get on the list. You will get notified. You'll be the first to get notified whenever I open up enrollment for my next Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. That's going to be probably in the next 30 to 60 days. I don't have an exact date yet, but I'm going to open enrollment. It will sell out very quickly. It sells out quickly every single time, and I have limited spots, okay? So you'll get all the information. Don't ask me a million questions about what is the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. Just know that it is a training that is an advanced training that's specifically designed to help you get more shippers by understanding and developing your sales process, including your mindset, including filling your funnel, including overcoming objections and closing, including using sales technology. There's a whole, retention and growth strategies. There's all kinds lots of modules and training that go into it. But get on the wait list. That's all I can tell you. Because if you're not on the wait list, you have zero chance of becoming a member, all right, and a part of that program. All right, so I'm scrolling. Here's a question from John. Can you still bid on government contracts if you don't have the required time in business if you have carriers on the approved GSA carrier list? No. You as a broker, if you are going to do government freight, they're going to have a minimum time in business that you're going to have to be in business. Most of them are 3 years. If you've been in business 3 years, you can prove you've been a broker for 3 years. You can apply to become an approved provider. Once you're an approved provider, they'll set you up and you can start bidding and competing for that business, whatever your niche is. Question from Rajinder. What's the best way to kind of know that you're ready to call? What kind of preparedness? Well, you heard the statistic. 87% of prospects say salespeople don't understand their needs. If you feel as though you have a basic understanding of your customer needs and the niche that you're joining, and you have a sales hook and a script prepared that you think is relevant and compelling, and you've practiced that script and you're ready to start making calls, that's what I would consider ready, version 1.0. Okay. Now, That might take you a day, that might take you a week, that might take you a month, depending upon who you are and how serious you are. But ultimately, here's what you got to understand. Don't worry about perfection. Don't worry about everything being perfect. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to screw some shit up. I promise that's going to happen. Okay? That's okay. It happens to everybody. I told the story. I was the worst salesperson that had ever been hired in the history of the company that hired me when I had my first sales job. Worst. I was terrible when I first started, but I progressively got better and better and better. Eventually became one of the top salespeople, and now, have been very fortunate to have a great career, a lot of which involves sales and entrepreneurship. So I hope that helps. How much time we got here? All right. So Jasmine asks, would it be good to mention that you have a trucking business as well? Well, I don't think it's going to hurt, but I don't think you should lead with a trucking business and then try to do a bait and switch to brokerage later, because brokers, shippers are going to see that. But you can tell them you're an asset-based brokerage. You have 6 trucks, you got 600 trucks, whatever the case may be, and you'd love to figure out a way that you could work with them, right? Because if you can put your asset-based trucks on some of their loads, you probably will, if it makes sense for your company. But if you can't, then brokerage is always a great alternative, and a great option for both you and them. So yeah, I would probably mention that. I never had trucks, so I don't know. Randy, Freight Broker Authority says expect household goods. What that mean? Household goods. You do not want a household good Freight Broker Authority. Okay. You want a property broker, but it needs to be for commercial freight, not household goods. Household goods is if you're a moving company. Okay. You don't want to be a household good freight broker. You want to be for commercial freight brokerage, a property broker for commercial freight brokerage, not for household goods. Sam asked, do you think with more and more competition now, brokers, agents, margins are getting smaller and harder to find? Well, I'm not sure where you're getting your data from. But I can tell you that in the last 2 years, brokers have had some of the highest profit margins ever in the last decade. So there's more brokers. There are more brokers now that join the market. But what you have to understand is there's also brokers leaving the market. Right? There are people that have went through their life cycle and are now exiting the business. There are people that fail in the business, just like in every other business, and there are the people that succeed. But the fact is that you're not talking about a dramatically increased number of brokers in the market because there is attrition. Secondly, if you look at the earnings reports of top publicly traded companies that are freight brokers, you're going to find that their margins have increased over the last several years, not decreased. So I understand your question, which is if there's more competition, will it suppress margins? It can, but it has to be a sizable amount of competition. But what you have to also understand is that with more competition, freight is also growing, right? Because if you look at the GDP of the United States or the world GDP 20 years ago versus 10 years ago versus today, this is what it looks like. GDP continues to go up, gross domestic product. That means people are buying more products, consuming more products. The population is growing and expanding rapidly around the world, good or bad, right? So with increased population comes increased demand, comes increased supply, comes increased demand again for servicing that supply. So I don't want to get too heady with you, but statistics are showing that it's a great place to be, right? Transportation logistics is a great place to be, particularly in the next decade. Demand's only going to grow. And that's just not me. That's, if you do your research, you're going to find that. Okay, so Marta asks, we have a shipper. They require they require usage, electronic BOL and POD. Please advise what app or software we need to satisfy their needs. All you need to do, if they're requiring you to give them a electronic bill of lading and a proof of delivery, that means you would just have to either get it electronically from the carrier, or when you get a physical copy from the carrier, you need to scan it and make it digital. That's all you got to do. And then when you send the invoice to the shipper, they want an electronic BOL and proof of delivery when you bill them. So don't overcomplicate it. It could be as simple as a scanning machine. It could be as easy as getting a PDF electronic copy from the carrier. Okay, so don't get overly complex. Love it. Frank says, my English is like 70%. And I got customers without any problem. So the person who asked about the English barrier challenge, they don't speak perfect English. Here's a perfect example of a student. I don't even recall ever speaking to Frank, but congratulations. And this kind of supports what I had said earlier. Okay, so Evelyn asks, I may have missed this answer, but how do I go about being able to offer shippers credit? There's two ways you're going to do it. Either you're going to have a factoring company that you're going to partner with that is going to run credit on the shipper, and then they're going to tell you a credit line because they're really extending the credit, okay? So you're going to have a factoring company that's going to help you with that, or if you do it yourself, you're going to get a credit application from them with some credit information. You're going to then pull credit with something like Dun & Bradstreet, right? You're going to have to pay for a credit report. You're going to pull credit. You're going to assess their credit. Dun & Bradstreet makes it very easy. They give you some basic guidelines to go by. And then at that point, you're going to establish some sort of credit line, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, a million, whatever it is. And I've had shippers that have had all of those credit lines. I've pulled credit on shippers where they got zero credit because they had been in business less than a year or two. I've had shippers that have had zero credit because they had horrible credit and I wouldn't extend them credit. They were prepay. I've had new shippers that we started out with one load. I've had new shippers we started out with 10,000 in credit, 50,000 in credit. And I've had other shippers we did business with that had over $1 million in credit with us. Okay. So there is no one size fits all. So you're either going to partner with a factoring company that's going to help you with that, or you're going to learn some basic credit risk management. And Dun & Bradstreet is a great source for that information. Ozan, go to my blog, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog, and search for niches. And that will walk you through an entire training on how to develop your niche and find your niche. Paul asks, do we need a special license to handle drayage freight? I just got General Freight Broker Authority. No, you do not need a special license. When they ask you during your application process what type of freight you move, it has nothing to do with your licensing. They're just gathering information to try to use it as a source of data for their internal usage, right? If you have a Freight Broker Authority, you can move any type of domestic freight in the United States. Okay? Van, reefer, flatbed, heavy haul, whatever. As long as you have the experience and the carriers and the ability to do it. All right, guys. So that's going to wrap it up for today. We've been here over an hour. I appreciate you guys being here. I truly do. If you're curious about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent and you're looking for some help, you're struggling putting Google results and YouTube and all the different information you're getting from all these different sources, most of which are BS, okay? And you're sick of that and you need some help, go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. All right? Trained over 10,000 students, been in business over a decade. I've personally done over $200 million as a freight broker, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. I can't make it any easier than that. If you guys want more advanced training and you need more help with sales training, right? And you need more help in that arena, Get on the wait list for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. It's going to open up in the next 30 to 60 days. I promise you it will sell out once again. It's an online training program that teaches you everything you need to know. I take that piece of my brain and I teach you exactly what you need to do in order to be successful in sales as a freight broker or a freight agent. Once again, thank you guys for being here. Like, comment, share. See you next Monday at noon. Have an awesome, profitable week, and we'll talk to you then.